So right makes a loop towards the left, right makes a loop towards the left. So I get these two loops. Second loop goes behind the first. And this is useful when you're trying to put a clove hitch over an end of a stick. If I want to make another half hitch, make a little loop. You see how this came around but underneath the stick, back through, and then that makes another half hitch. And I'm just cinching that down, and you could repeat that process if you had enough, but I don't have enough for that one to make another half hitch. Okay, this is your start position. So I just use clove hitches here, and you've got to be careful with the clove hitch. It is easily adjustable, so that's why I'm using a clove hitch with a couple half hitches, but it will shake loose as you move it around if you're not careful. So that's the reason you almost have to put those half hitches in. Now the best way to start this off so that your cordage is equal is to tie off the ends and then spread it apart. So now I know those are equal. I'm going to bring it back together and start stacking these up one by one like a log cabin. So I'm just going to start stacking these in, going across here. It's kind of hard to do one-handed. You see what I'm doing, and then spreading them out to tension the line as I go up, and you just keep doing that until you get like a pyramid shape. So I'll keep putting all those sticks in one at a time, back and forth like a log cabin. And again, eventually you'll get shorter and shorter sticks, but you're gonna have to spread these out, bring these out to tighten the cordage. And your cordage should be right between this V as it goes up. Over here you can see where I've put a overhand knot, and I'll do the same here because this is what I'm gonna attach the bait line to, and you'll see that in just a little bit because I'm gonna do a tape knot. Just follow through that overhand knot to get the bait line where I can put the bait on in just a second, and then I'll show it to you. Okay, for the cordage, I left a little tail off of each side so that I would have something to tie on to, and I just used what's called a tape knot. So I slid this in around and just had it follow all the way through, and then you just pull on the ends. Obviously you want some tail, so an overhand knot, and then you're just doing an overhand follow through is all it is. So that's what you'll end up, everything doubled up, but it starts off like this, and then you just follow the path around. Okay, so the split stick, I use the saw to saw halfway on one side, halfway on the other, and then I just broke it over my knee, and then you'll get a split stick trigger. One of the easiest triggering mechanisms to set up, and it's one of the best, I think, for the Arapuca bird trap, because your ability to wrap the cordage around it. Let me explain the key elements of the Arapuca bird trap. We have a split stick trigger. You could use a deadfall for that. We have cordage that comes out. You'd want that cordage to kind of blend in. This is all I had. You use what's available to you, but you could make natural cordage that would kind of blend in a little bit better. It doesn't have to be strong. We've got a stick here in the back, flat piece of wood that I can put bait on. If you don't have that, you can put your bait in the center of the cordage and hopefully they'll trip over it. But I found for birds it's better if they have something to step up on. So that's why I've kind of got it angled so that they'll step up on to eat it or trip over the cordage. So what happens is the bird enters, or the animal that you're trying to capture enters, they start to eat, they make the mistake of stepping on the triggering mechanism, and then they get trapped inside. When you try to recover the animal, you want to pull from the top and then reach in, because you want to avoid reaching here at the bottom, picking up, because they'll go out the sides. You want your cordage to be really tight. If you're having trouble getting your cordage to tighten down, you can take a stick and then slide it underneath the cordage. So I would take a smaller one, this, and then wrap that down like a tourniquet to tension it. But it's easier for me just to build this up like a log cabin and tension it with the sticks by spreading them out. That becomes easier once you get more sticks into play, but they need to be really tight. You need to be able to pick that up. You don't want this thing to be shaking or falling apart on you. So you can see this one's really secure because the cordage is tight, and that's what you're looking for. You want that kind of tension in that cordage. That's super tight. I could barely get that stick in. That's what you're shooting for. So I'm going to show you how to build this, how to start it off, and then you can just follow along and build your own. There are about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 64 sticks plus this one's 65 trigger stick. So you're looking at 66 sticks plus the piece of wood that's going to go in the back and your cordage. To build something of this size, I found, so this one, there's my foot. My foot is actually almost 12 inches long. So we're looking at over a foot, 14 inches or so in height. And that'd be big enough for a dove to fit under. That's the same thing when you set up your trigger stick. You want it to set up high enough so the animal won't be fearful of entering. They need plenty of entry space. So you don't want it way down here, because then they'll be spooked and they won't want to go in. I found setting it up higher, even though there's greater risk that they could get out, works better because they won't be as fearful to enter. So look at least 8 to 10 inches of clearance when you prop it up.